Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my home. Today I have another organization based video for you all. So a few weeks ago we made a decision in our house to purchase a triple bunk for our three daughters. They are 6, 7, and 8. And take one of my daughter's rooms and turn that into kind of a play space for them. With the months getting colder and spending a lot more time inside, we just needed to come up with a solution for indoor activities. And if you all are completely new here, we live out in the country in a really small farmhouse, and so we have to do our best to make the best of the spaces that we have. And I've even heard the term recently about winterizing your home, and I kind of feel like that plays a part in what I'm doing today. We're winterizing it, we're making it work for the current month that we're in. I'm not sure that we'll keep everything this way always, and I'm going to also be showing you all in the next few videos how we are setting up a triple bunk and making a small room work for 3 girls. So for now, they are thrilled with their bunks. Since they are so close in age, they just enjoy so many of the same things. They feel like it's a sleepover every night, and they were so excited about this idea. So approaching this project, I really wanted to focus on the things that the girls are really into right now. I have done a lot of minimizing of the things that we have in our home. I still have a long way to go, guys. Please don't label me as a minimalist, because I'm definitely far from that. But I do see the value in just really focusing on the things that are really important, or the things that the kids are super interested in that season. And you know, as they pick up other interests, we can take away something and add something else. It's always just a flexible thing to decide what you're going to keep in your house to help your kids grow and help them learn, and just to enjoy playing with different things. So my oldest daughter is 8, and she is our resident artist. She loves art and crafting and all of those sorts of things. And then my 7-year-old and 6-year-old, they are very much in the phase of pretend. And it's not that our 8-year-old doesn't also join in on that. It's just that I can see, has more of an interest in artistic things than the younger two do. So giving the younger two some things to expand on their imagination with the types of things they like to play. They love to play restaurant and house, and play that they have babies and all of that stuff. And so giving them tools to expand on that play is something that I'm always looking out for, and also leaving it super open-ended to where they can come up with their own games and play, and it's not all provided right there for them. I think sometimes when kids have too many toys going on, they tend to shut down instead of looking for how they can use something as a multi-purpose tool, which I'll mention this a little bit more at the end when I'm giving a walkthrough of this space in this room. But another thing that I am trying to focus on is being more budget friendly with our children's play spaces, and we do a lot of thrifting and antiquing, and my daughters love doing that with me because we're always looking for things they can use in their play space, and I will point out those things as I walk through the room. So along with the kind of pretend things that the girls love to play with, we are a huge Lego family. I played with Legos growing up. It was one of our favorite toys, and now our daughters are really into Legos. So I wanted to find a way to store them. I've talked about this before. Previously, we had the Legos in a closet down in our living room, and as the Lego idea has expanded in our house, it sort of became a problem because everything was spilling out of that closet in the living room, and it was just causing a lot of mess to where we like couldn't get away from it. And so that's part of what inspired this room switch around. Was we just needed to be able to keep the living room a nice common space in the house without stepping on Legos or just Lego builds going on. Because if you all have Legos, you know, generally it's like multiple days process that they're building things, especially with our girls. They're to the stage where they're making like little storefronts and they're making little houses, so they're working on little towns and other things to where they don't want to tear those things apart every single day. So having a place and space and floor space to do that was another reason we decided to try this setup, especially for these winter months. So along with that idea, I wanted to get them a nice soft rug. Now it couldn't be high pile because Legos don't set on high pile rugs very well. So I got a low pile rug. I will leave this one linked below, and it's so soft. It's just, the girls love sitting on it and using it as a nice space to build their Legos. And again, this room is not all that big. It has no closet. There's only one small closet in the second story of our house. And so we have to get really creative on how we store things, not only toys and activities, but also clothing and things like that, which I will get to when I show you all the triple bunk room setup that we have come up with for them. So if you're in a small house and you have 3 children that are going to share a space, definitely keep an eye out for that video. Or simply if you're in a small house and you're trying to get creative with how to store clothing and other things like that, I have some fun ideas coming up in that video. All right, so I am kind of just setting everything up. I was sweeping the floors as I was going along, getting the windowsills kind of wiped off because we had moved my oldest daughter's bed out of this room and we were able to give that to someone else. So that worked out super well. And so I just was putting things on the walls with command strips and just kind of getting the layout of the room set up. And I recently found this storage setup for our Legos, and as you can see, we had one good Lego sorting session before I was filming this day, and the rest of it I had in this large black crate. So I went ahead and I got sorting out the rest of that. And that's one thing I really love about this tower organization system, is all of these drawers come out super easy, and I can sit on the floor, have them all lined up like this, and sort through our Legos very quickly and easily. Now, I did not do this entire crate by myself. After a while, the girls came in and they helped me sort through it. And some people sort Legos into colors. Some people, everybody kind of has their own way of doing it. I sort it out by a kind of like shape and purpose of the different pieces. So we have like a bin that is for vehicle pieces and parts, and we have windows and doors in another bin, and certain size blocks in certain bins, and that seems to work out really well. I even play Legos with the girls. I think that if you loved Legos growing up, it's really easy to take it into your adulthood, and somewhat relaxing and therapeutic to build things with these fun blocks. So even whenever I'm playing with them, we can find the pieces and parts that we are looking for when we're trying to create a build, or even if we're taking old instructions and trying to recreate that item or that building, we can find the pieces and parts and blocks to those instructions a whole lot quicker with it set up like this. Now, I understand if you have really small children and you're just starting out getting them set up with Legos, a big bin with them all mixed together might just be the ticket. But since our girls are to the age where they have learned to respect each other's builds, and they learned how to follow the instructions. Having it organized for them helps them in their play so much. And I think that's something to assess whenever you are organizing toys, especially. Sometimes it's just easier to clean up all the toys into one big toy bin, particularly when your children are younger and you got toys scattered all over. It's a faster cleanup process for you. And as they get older, they're helping with the cleanup process, or it's more beneficial to them to have certain toys organized better for them to be able to play with them. So I think that's something to take into consideration as you're looking at your toys and how you want to organize them. And I know that with holidays and other things like that, birthdays, there's always this phase after those where if they're getting gifts and things, you have to kind of reassess if you want to keep everything, if they have a new toy set that needs to be incorporated into your organization. And that is kind of what I was working on here. Now, like I mentioned earlier, our oldest daughter is our little artist. She loves everything that's projects and crafts, just like her mama. I love art and trying out new crafts and hobbies in art. So I love opening the door for her with that. So right now she is really into journaling and a lot of paper art, and she also loves to sew. So you saw me folding up some scraps of fabric that my mom has given her, and so just to have the tools right at her hands, we actually went to IKEA a while ago, and she picked out this desk specifically because she liked this tower of drawers, and it worked out really good for the different things that she wants to store in there and giving her the space in place that she needs. And as each of the girls change in their ages and their interests, I like to provide the best place I can in our home for them to explore those interests. So as of right now, this desk is here. All three of them can use it. It is primarily my oldest daughter's desk, and we may eventually put a longer desk in this room if we keep this setup. I don't know once summer hits if we will keep the same setup or if it'll just be something that we lean into with these cooler months. I am so pleased with how this little space turned out, and I know it's going to work perfectly for its intended purpose. That is just to give us some extra wiggle room with these colder months here in central Pennsylvania. We got to find ways to play inside and use our creativity, and so this space is going to leave room for that. I wanted to give you guys just a little tour of this area in particular because a bunch of this stuff is thrifted, and I'm going to get so many questions on where things are from. A few of them I can link below, but if you guys want to find cute little baskets and things like that, check out thrift stores, check out like antique type shops. I find little things like that all the time. In fact, my 6, 7, and 8-year-old girls love going with me because we find the cutest stuff. Just this past week, we found this cute little cupboard, and we talked about possibly using some command strips to put it here on the wall so it's like an actual cabinet, but they like to take it down and use it as a dresser for their babies and things like that. This is also thrifted. It's a little tiny like oil container. This little piece here is something I had as a child. I don't really know where it came from. It's just been something with me for a long time. So we do like Little House on the Prairie in our house, and I know that they like to pretend with that little lamp, and it's really cute. And pretty much most of this stuff here is also thrifted. I think my mom found these. This little guy I think was from an antique shop. This was thrifted, and when I say thrifted, I'm talking like maybe $1 a piece. I believe all of this stuff here was. These guys up here, I made a long time in a video, but basically they are plastic jar containers from the Dollar Tree that have real dry goods in them, and then I just super glued the lid shut so they can't actually open them, but they love to play with them all of the time. Anytime I show this stuff up here, I always get questions on where and how I did this. So this tray basket thing, was a Target find a long time ago. And then we used to have an old, like small little play kitchen, and it just was really, really short, like probably even down to there. And with my daughters getting bigger, they still like to play and pretend house and baby and stuff like that. However, like it just was too short for them. So I just took off a couple of the pieces, like the faucet here and this piece here and those guys there, and I spray painted them. I did that in a video, so if you've been around a while, you probably remember that. And this here is actually a tray that's meant for like a closet organization piece, like maybe for watches or something like that. And it's just flipped upside down. If you go to the store and use your imagination and think about what you can do with spray paint and with some super glue and maybe just create your own little imagination area. And one thing I try to do is I try to leave as much play open-ended as I can. So this stuff here is actually not attached at all to the top of this because they take this stuff off. Sometimes they use the top of this for their bookstore, they like to take this stuff off and make their kitchen somewhere else. I mean, when it comes to playing, my girls are very, very, very imaginative. I mean, this bunk bed here is actually from my childhood. My grandfather made it, and they use that. They take it, it comes apart. They take that, they flip them over. They use the bottom of it for countertops at their restaurant. We just take advantage of everything here. Whenever you give your kids too many things, sometimes it takes away from that open-ended play, kind of like with our dishes and our food. I want to talk a little bit about this space here. So this is a very small little organizer, and I try to keep everything within the bounds of what we have space to store. Mainly because the girls have found that it's overwhelming for them to clean up their own toys when they have way too much stuff. And usually when it gets out of hand, they'll come to me and say, Mom, we really need to declutter because we have too much stuff. So they've kind of learned that just because it's something I've taught them growing up. And they asked me in here if we could put something to put some colored pencils and stuff because they like to make menus. We are in kindergarten, first and second grade, and all three of them read and write. And so they like to make their own signs and things like that for their play. So having some stuff like that, I actually just picked up this little chalkboard, and I thought that would be really fun for them to make menus. Or sometimes they use things like this, or like this little sketch pad here. It's not an iPad or anything, it's just a doodle pad. They will use that for like a screen that is their cash register, because nowadays kids are obviously watching everything that happens around them, and you have to sign when you use your card or things like that. So they like to use that to sign for their bill at the restaurant. And then down under here, we have some food items. We've decluttered some of them. We don't have over the top a lot of play food, and it just makes them use their imagination. I know that something they like to do right now, I've watched them, is they take these little, they're actually like hay bales from the farm, and they've got all these animals, but they will take these and they will use them as like their spice containers when they're cooking. It's just, they find some of the most creative ways to play, and I love it so much. Another thing to keep an eye out for at thrift stores and antique shops is anything miniature when it comes to cooking. We find stuff all the time, like this little pot is an actual metal pot, and that is their soup pot. They love using that, and I use cast iron myself, so I found this at a thrift store for a couple dollars, and it's an actual cast iron pan. You could actually use it on a stovetop if you wanted to. If you have really little kids, this might not be the best thing to give them because it does have a lot of weight to it, but with my girls getting old enough to be responsible and be able to play with things and not drop stuff on their toes or something like that, they just thought that was the greatest find. And I feel like because we're always looking for little stuff like that, we might find one thing in an outing. They come home and they play with it for days because it's suddenly something new. They can find all kinds of new uses for it, and it just makes things really, really fun. So over here, this basket, and I've learned through my organization, I have, if you all go back and watch toy organization videos, I have gotten down to the nitty-gritty of organizing stuff, and I've learned that when it comes to their toys, we need a basket that just can kind of have anything and everything in it, especially because they do play a lot of imaginative play. And there are certain things that when we're decluttering, they're like, oh mom, you can get rid of that, you can get rid of that. But then there's an odd item or handful of items that they're like, oh no, we do this, we do that. This is a great example. This one here was a thrift store find. There are wooden flowers, and they play and play and play and play with this. I mean, this is a wedding bouquet. It's a bouquet on their restaurant table. It's all kinds of things. And it's just a random piece. And a lot of the stuff in this basket are random pieces that don't really have a set. So as long as it can fit in that basket, I'm fine with that. And if we get beyond that, then we know we need to declutter a few things. Another thing that they are super into right now is farm and animals. We have a local hardware store that has a bunch of animals, and oftentimes if we make a stop there, or my husband does with them, he lets them pick out a new animal or two. So we've got everything from elephants to sheep, and I know at one point they told me that they need a whole herd of sheep. I don't know that that's gonna happen, but it's a lot of different types of animals, and they make different families. And then we have this farm, or this barn actually, and it's from Amazon. It's pretty good price on there. And then I also got this, it's a really big fence, and they make do playing with all of that together. They love that. Down in here, this basket they use for so many different things, and we have another one back there that's a little more of the size of their doll babies. And in here, one time, not that long ago at an antique store, I found all of these tiny little wicker furniture pieces. And one thing about getting things thrifted and antiqued is that most of the time it's a couple dollars. And I find that we can redonate it and we can swap things out. And they think it's kind of a treasure hunt when we go thrifting or antiquing to find things to play with, and those things are getting enjoyed. And I do try to keep a pulse on what they're playing with and what they are not. This here is a train set that my youngest daughter really loves to play with. It's a farm train set. And I asked her the other day if she still likes to play with it, and she said she does, so that we're gonna keep. And then over here is our babies. We have the Miniland babies. They're like the bigger ones with hair, and they come in different ethnicities, and I just love, love, love these little babies. They have different pieces of clothing for them and little blankets, and these are actually like swaddle blankets from Amazon. I can link them below, these ones here, and they're super soft. They're for real babies. I do try to find them stuff that is for real babies sometimes. Like we have some bottles that the top comes off, and they just really love playing this whole baby thing right now, and I'm milking it for all it's worth because I know that one day they're not going to enjoy that as much as they do now. But that is a thing that is played with very, very often. And then above that, I got this at a antique shop as well, and I just stuck some of their baby clothes in there. I thought that would be a really cool thing to put in there. And that's what I love about using command strips is even with this guy here, it's all put on with command strips. I can put it right at their height, and I'm not putting a bunch of nail holes at a really weird spot on the wall. And I can make it so that they are able to use all of these little hooks, and they're able to just get creative and enjoy it a whole lot. So this here is actually from Amazon. Again, I just put it on with like 15-pound command strips. It'll work perfect for them to hang up their totes and things like that. And I think we also have some on the back of this door from when my daughter had her room in here, and so they'll be able to hang things up. Those are a little bit higher. And then of course this shelf up here. And another purpose that we kind of thought we might use this shelf for is I may declutter it a little bit, and they can put some of their Lego creations that they don't want torn apart right away up there. I wanted to keep space for that, as well as on top of this here. I considered putting some things up here, but it's just a good landing zone for some of their Lego creations that they want to continue playing with. We make a lot of houses and buildings with Legos, and so this is a good place for them to store them so that I can say, hey, go clean up the playroom, I want to vacuum, and they can put that stuff up there and it's not all over the floor. And this cart is honestly probably one of the best organization investments I have ever made. It is not dirt cheap. However, it is just amazing for Legos. And for me, I like things to look clean. I like a nice, organized, clean aesthetic. And this is perfect. There's not any shiny metal on it. It just looks nice and clean. And these are actually very, very sturdy drawers. And we can just take that whole drawer out. They can sit on the floor. That's almost like a necessity when it comes to Legos, is to have a large area to be able to look for what you're looking for and to be able to sit on the floor with it. So this just works out perfectly, and it's so easy to put them back on their tracks too. They slide nicely. I just think that we will have this for a long time, as long as they're into Legos, which I know in my childhood, and I still play Legos with them now. I'm sure we will have it for a very, very long time. Another thing that the girls like, and this actually houses some of the little stuffed animals that work with that wicker tiny furniture I showed you in that basket, but they really love stuffed animals. And again, like I said, just really trying to feed into what your child is interested in the moment, in the season, because then you don't have to have tons and tons and tons of toys. You can just focus on what they're really, really wanting to get into, which kind of brings me to this. So we had actually put this desk in here before we decided to set up the bunk room and everything like that. And this is just perfect for my oldest daughter. Her little sewing machine is down here. However, she does also use my full-on sewing machine. Sorry, our dog is barking. My husband just pulled in. So this gives her a space to do that. She likes to craft. She likes to make bracelets. She likes to journal. She just got into planners because I like to do planners. So of course she sees what I'm doing and loves that. And so this just gives her a space to house all those things. When it comes to crafty hobbies, you just need space for that stuff. So this I just got put together, and she is so excited about using this space for her creativity. Thank you guys so much for watching today. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope that this gave you some inspiration, especially when it comes to small spaces with kids and toys. I feel like it's always a challenge, and especially since we moved into this old farmhouse, we don't have a lot of wiggle room, and so I have to get a bit creative, but it's always worth it to take the time to feed in to your kids and what their needs currently are.